everyone, all these good liberals who had pretended to support him all along, stood up and said, you've gone too far. Stick to your nice talk about racism. Criticizing the war is something that's going to lose you a lot of support. You also don't know what you're talking about, and you're being reckless and treasonous and irresponsible in your language because he went too far. He stepped over that line.
Yeah, and do not get it twisted, guys. Nothing has changed since the 1960s, especially in terms of racial income inequality, but also in terms of how liberals view Black radicals, how they treat Black radicals. We see how they handle MLK, despite the people trying to change history. MLK was a deeply despised figure because his willingness to speak out against capitalism and his willingness to speak out against imperialism. You also had Malcolm X, who was smeared as a communist enemy of the state because he had nothing but great things to say about Fidel Castro and Stalin. And these are the kind of things that is completely out of line if you're part of the Democratic Party, if you're a liberal. And this is why Malcolm X described them as foxes. And foxes are more dangerous than the wolf, because what liberals do, they actually cause more damage to the Black to the Black community. When you look at Jim Crow Joe and his crime bill, and when you look at what they do politically, because Glenn, what did they actually accomplish? What they do, they gain political capital by claiming they are going to go after white supremacy, domestic terrorism, and crime. And then after getting that political capital, they then turn the state against Black people, indigenous people, and workers. This is a long-standing tradition of the liberal establishment that actually hurts our communities. They passed and they expanded the Capitol Police under the guise of fighting white supremacy, Glenn. They said they saw January 6th. They said, we're going to get the Trumpers. We're going to get the Donald Trump supporters who are domestic terrorists. You guys want to know what the Capitol Police are spending their time doing? Right after they passed that bill, they was cracking their heads and committing violent acts, tear gassing indigenous people who were protesting pipelines on their lands. So they use the battle against white supremacy to expand the state. Then once the state is expanded, who do they go after?
Welcome to a special edition of RBN Live Sundays. I'm your host to start out with. I'm CJ or Jay in real life, or Compton J. That's what the CJ's for. Nick may be joining us the second hour, or what? Yeah, second hour. So stay tuned for that. But wanted to start with this clip because we're going to be talking a lot about Glenn Greenwald in this episode, or in this stream, because he has been on sort of a speaking tour talking about what's happening with the Black Socialist organization. So we're going to be discussing Glenn a lot. So I wanted to start with that because Nick was just on Glenn's show, and he uploaded the appearance on here, I believe. Yeah, it was uploaded on here. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But in this video, Nick is just pointing out what has happened to, or what is happening to the Huru socialist group or movement organization is nothing new. Targeting Black liberation groups, Black leftists, Black radicals is a tradition in this country. So shout out to Nick for going on Glenn and representing. I have a weird angle to see here. So, all right. So I think you can see me fine, but I can't see the screen that well. All right. But anyway, let's go over the graphics and talk about what we're going to be talking about today. Let's see. We got this one here. So let's take this off and put this on here. Here. So we have how do we go up here? We have, from left to right, we have Stephen Donziger. And what happened to him? There was a protest, or a protester who stood up during his Earth Day special, or Earth Day speech, to say, stop pushing the Democratic Party and Marianne Williamson. So we're going to talk about that. And then, like I said, there you see Glenn Greenwald. Glenn, he's in the story with Glenn Beck. He's in the story with Nick, which is the RBN goes on the Glenn Black show or goes on the Glenn Greenwald show, and he's in the story with Tucker. So we'll probably do all those together. And then there's a separate Tucker story with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And then there's yet again another story, all from this thumbnail. Great thumbnail by Aaron. But Jamal Bowman's on there because Jamal Bowman recently was used by I think it's wow, I can't even see my tweets. Hang on a second here. Let me see why I can't see everything. Okay, so now I can see the comments. So Jamal Bowman is on there because Jamal Bowman was used by Jacobin because he put out some sort of video of support for a strike matter or union, and the comments are like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Or do you not forget you just broke a strike? But I mean, it's literally probably 9 out of 10 comments. It's just one after another that we're going to cover. But first, let's shout out this new member here. Kenneth Topping becomes a new YouTube member. Thank you for becoming a new YouTube member for RBN. Welcome to the community. Here it goes. Believe it or not, RFK is part of the establishment, and that he is, certainly with some of the folks that are in part that's running his campaign being supposedly ex-CIA people, and we all know that you're never really out of the CIA. That's at least what they say. When they speak to is like full adults of foreign policy. I'm not getting that question. RFK is not anti-imperialist. I wonder if people were, and then that was just me making sure everybody knew I was running about 5 minutes late. All right, so let's continue. Let's see what other comments we got here. And then, of course, DD with the smart comment. It's okay, Jay. Don't let it happen again. Please make sure to hit the like button on the stream to increase visibility. Absolutely. Actually, as you saw the comment there, I was on my phone watching it, and I didn't hit the like button. Let me hit the like button here, just like everybody else. All right, so let's get going here. What's wow, is it not showing me live? Wait a minute here. Are we doing one of those again where it's not showing? Okay, there it goes. Okay. It could be my phone. My girls are home. Sunday they're gamers, so they're playing. Are we doing one of those again? Oops, they're playing. Is it Mario Smash Brothers where they fight or something like that? And my 5-year-old's actually pretty good. She can beat me. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, thank you, Didi, for the comment. And yeah, absolutely. Hit that like button. Let's jump right into it because there's a lot actually to cover. A lot to cover. So let's jump into our announcements. Hit that like button. We're currently sitting at about 130 people watching. So let's try to get to 100 likes here. 100 likes is the target. Our Substack. We have streamlined our Substack. If you haven't seen it, or if you unsubscribe because you were getting too many notifications. So we've now streamlined to where you get one email or one notification with all the clips that we're going to premiere for that day. So you'll get one live stream clip or one live stream notification and one clip notification each day. Yeah. So you got this live notification. And you got I think we send them out the night before for the clips the next day. So Aaron has been really good on that. So thank you, Aaron. So join our Substack if you want to get notifications of those clips and when we go live. And that was the last time we updated it. But actually, we have crossed 800. I think it's 900, but 800 is the last time I saw yesterday. And welcome to those brand new subscribers. We always get a little bump when Nick goes on the Jimmy Dore show, and I know that's what we're getting. In the last couple of days, we've gotten a good chunk of people that just recently subscribed. So welcome to all you brand new people. Why isn't it? Here we go. Yeah. All right, so I'm using my phone to act as a producer for me here, so that's why I'm doing that. So welcome to the brand new subscribers. And as I showed you earlier, we had a new member. Here's a membership level $3.99 that we offer. You can check that out. There should be a join button somewhere on our YouTube page or next to one of our videos. And if you haven't been to our website, we have updated it. We're not fully updated, but we went from maybe 70% done to like 85% done. We've updated the chapter information, the chapter launch date. We've updated what we're going to be doing at some of our chapters. We've added some pictures to the renovation at the RBN library. We've added a tab for the RBN library. Let's see here. Let me see. Where am I here? I can just pull it up. As you can see along here, we added the RBN library tab, and you can see just some of the, just amazing. Did I click it? There we go. Some of the amazing renovation, like from where it was before, as you can see there with this picture, to some of what it was. And some of you who follow Rome or follow us and see what it looks like now, you wouldn't believe this is what it used to look like. But this is some of the things you can go find out on our website, our outreach. This is some of other art community outreach that we do. This is, I think, Jacksonville, when deliver some water to Jacksonville. I think 12,000 bottles or something like that. That's Nick and Rome. That was during a barbecue. They gave out thousands of diapers there. I'll say hundreds just to make sure I'm not misquoting. I know it was over 1,000, but I don't know if it was 2,000. So yeah, so check out our website. It's up there for everyone's for the information. So make sure you check that out. Let me go back to Twitter, because I'm trying to get a little bit more organized. So let's go to my bookmarks, and I have actually right here. The 23rd, I got them kind of placed in one place. All the items that we're going to be covering here. But what I want to start out with is Jamaal Bowman. Did I not save it in here? That would be the only. Oh, here it goes. Oh, it's the first thing. Yeah, I want to start with the Jamaal Bowman video because he is getting destroyed in the video and the comments. And so let me pause it and set this up the right way here. And actually, I want to go to a couple of more of your comments on this intro video. It's a short video. It's like 40 seconds. But he gets absolutely demolished, and along with Jacobin. So let's start with this one. So Jacobin and Bowman. We can start here, and actually let me do a couple more comments here, because I think I saw, I thought, no, I'm not fooling myself. I saw a new member here. So she's black. Welcome, new member, longtime listener or longtime viewer of RBN. a member. Heartlands Media is in the house. The YouTube censorship is very real, so everyone please double check and triple check you are still subscribed to your favorite independent media network. That goes for us, that goes for Heartlands, Black Power Media, Convo Couch. Always check. We were at a standstill, but typically when we go on a standstill as far as our subscriber count was kind of very, very slow, which is very unusual. So we knew we were highly suppressed. So, going on Jimmy has made us a little bit more visible, but hitting that like button is what's going to help the most. But thank you. Shout out to Heartlands Media. Thank you for this super sticker. And that's James Starks. James is a good name. Outstanding work, RBN. Thank you. And Ashura. Is this Chris Hedges' first appearance on Sabby Show? No. This is like his third? Yeah. I know I've seen him on there twice. Yeah. This is his third time. So yeah. All right. So I think I'm caught up on the comments. My screen now has fixed itself. Now I can see everything. I can see how long I've been on. I can see how many people are watching now from this screen. So 160 people watching now. Let's try to get to 100 likes, if you will. 100 people hit that like button. Let's get into the Jamal Bowman story. And I'm going to, there's a lot of stories. So this stream will be a little bit more newsy, more so newsy than anything else. So let's get into it. Oh, actually, we've already hit 100. We got 121 likes. So thank you very much for those. Exceeding expectations already. Jacobin and Bowman called out, and let's play the video first and see why was this such bad news for Jamal Bowman and Jacobin.
Peace and love to my Teamsters, UPS workers. As negotiations kick off, I just wanted to say that I'm standing in solidarity with all of you and will do everything I can to support you in getting the contract that you deserve. No more two-tier workforce and inadequate working conditions. No more forced overtime. No more life-threatening working conditions. If you have to strike, I will be right there on the picket lines with you, and I am bringing as many of my fellow colleagues from Congress as I can. Peace and love. Continue to fight. I got your back. Peace and love to my Teamsters, UPS workers.
So, a couple of things. I've covered several aspects of this story about the UPS, and it's a clip. We clipped it, probably dropped it at least 2 weeks ago. There is a looming UPS strike. California, as far as the strike nation that's kind of going on, California is going to be a pivotal point in the future, in the coming year to two, because we have that UPS. We're talking 300,000 workers, something like, 300,000 workers. They're not all in California, but a lot of them are in California. Then we have the ports. We have the LA and Long Beach ports. Those unionized workers, their contract is going to be, they're going to be going on strike too. So, but what he's talking about is UPS. Now, why he's so boldly able to come out and say this, even though he would say it, even if he was going to break the strike, is because UPS is not governed by the Railroad Act. I can't remember if it's Railroad Safety Act or Railroad Act. The act where Congress can just vote to force a contract down the throat of workers, what they did to the railroad workers that just recently happened. They're not governed by that. But guess who is? FedEx. FedEx is governed by that railroad, because when they initially opened as a business, they opened as a was it an airline? I think it was an airline, something like that. Can't remember what it was. Where so they're governed by that. But anyway, that's why he's saying it, because he knows there's not gonna be a vote up for him to break a strike. But UPS is lobbying to be covered by the same act. You believe that? UPS is lobbying to get to so they can be covered by the same back. And guess who's lobbying against that? FedEx. Capitalist clown shit, right? That's what we say here. But let's get back to the video. I think I finish the video? Yeah, I did finish the video. Now let's read the caption though. Let's read what it says in the caption here. This is DSA or at Dem Socialist, right? So this is the national DSA, the main account. DSA members, Jamal Bowman and over 70 DSA electeds, that means the elected people, elected politicians, stand with the UPS Teamsters. Like, what significance does that mean? What significance is it that proven strike breakers are standing with you? Wouldn't you feel like there's like a spy in your midst? Like you need to be looking out for this person who just broke a strike. If somebody just showed up to your picket line that would just crossed another picket line, wouldn't you be like, who the hell is this here? But that's what Jamal Bowman is trying to weasel his way in. And but this tweet, the reaction you'll see, was not kind. Their fight is over. I'm sorry. Their fight is our fight. And we won't back down until they get the contract they deserve. Take the strike ready pledge today. This guy, man, is just terrible. So let's go to some quote tweets first. Then we'll get into, and we're just gonna, they're good and bad. This right winger crushed rail workers just a few months ago, and not only do you not expel him, you shamelessly promote him and call yourselves socialists. Die and burn in hell. That's a new one. I had this. I prepared for this yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So I had not seen this particular one, so that's a new one for me. Some of you may have already seen it. I think I've seen this one. Yes. So this one here from Eat the Rich. This strike-breaking MFer needs to sit back down. This is, I would say, friend of the network, friend of the show. The McDonick administration for the good old whom. So go follow for the good old whom, and that's for the number 4. I know I messed this name up. This is someone who couldn't make it to Hollywood as an actor, so they are putting on a show in DC and their district. A bad actor, bad for workers. This guy has nothing but contempt for the working class. So not going well. And this is just a quote tweet. So I'm not even in the main part here. Reminder, Jamal Bowman belongs to an organization that backs Russia in its war with Ukraine, believing that Ukraine should surrender. So this person chooses to point out more war for Ukraine. So I guess I don't know if that's what side, but that's neutral because it's neutral to the topic. Here was another one. I saw this one too. The squad joined hands with Democrats to cross picket lines, cut a deal with wealthy corporate interests, and crush railroad union workers by engaging in fascism to take away their right to organize a strike and negotiate better wages, working conditions, and safety standards, and try to lie about it. We have to add that in there because we have to add in the latest report about this strike breaking, which was Jacobin also. I'm sorry, Jacobin. I get Jacobin and DSA. They're both red. They're both kind of the same. But Jacobin put out a reporting that RWU, the railroad union, or one of them, said, no, we never said that. There's two. She's intentionally conflating two votes to one by saying they wanted us to do that. They wanted her to support the sixth vote, not the second vote. And they put out a statement about that and tagged her in a tweet saying, why are you lying, basically. So we have to add that to this part here. And DSA, I mean, they're doing so much damage to them, to their own brand. As a UPS driver myself, I would like to extend my most sincere fuck you to both DSA leadership and Jamal Bowman. That kind of sums it up, don't you think? That kind of sums it up. May not even have to go to the bulk. So this dude got unendorsed for being a Zionist shield, then voted to stop the rail strike, yet DSA still kisses his ass because he's a Democrat. Joke of an organization. Now you see why I say it's not just Jamal Bowman they're calling out here. Jacobin is squarely in their midst too. Let's see what some of you are saying here in the comments. Think you're laughing at them or something in the comment. Pragmatic strikebreaking. Here we go. DSA is CIA that they have clear connection to Radio Free and the NED or NED, which is also CIA cutout from Cobra Commander. Love the name. BIM SOC organizing com. Sorry. Did I pronounce something wrong? Let me say. Bill says pronounce McAdoo. Oh, the name. Sorry. So I'll go back to that. Because this is a friend of the show. Let me see how you pronounce it here. Pronounce McDo. Oh, McDonough. I'm sorry. McDonough. I need to change the font size of this so I can see this better. There we go. So pronounce McDonough. There we go. So thank you for the help with the pronunciations and my apologies. The McDonough administration is where you're going to go, who you're going to go follow. Finish show. Oh, here goes ALC. Wow. So ALC decides to chime in, and I'm gonna read what she says, but ALC plays Captain who is this? Sava Bowman, I guess. ALC plays Captain Save a Bowman. Because maybe what she did is she saw the comments and was like, oh, this is not going bad for my guy here. I mean, this is not going good for my guy here. Let me help him out. Because as you can see, this is the 22nd. So clearly that's what happened. She saw the comments wasn't going well when it said, send in some help, please. So they sent in AOC, and she says, wow, I also... Oh, no, this is not the real AOC. I almost got tricked. Man, if this was AOC, but we're going to go with the parody. So I hope Aaron catches this. So when you make the thumbnail, make sure we make it clear this is a parody AOC, not the real AOC. So parody AOC says this. While I also voted to crush the railroad strike, I'm going to need DSA to expel Jamal Bowman immediately for being an enemy of the worker. We are trying to get rid of people like Elliot Engels, not embody them. I think it's embody them. Do better, Jamal. So that's a parody. So this is not actually AOC. So I just looked at the picture and assumed. And then I looked at the name. I was like, yeah, that's not AOC. All right, so continuing to the next one. DSA Justice Democrats equal all mouth and trousers. When it comes to breaking with party leadership or actually doing something useful, they turtle like a dick in a cold bath. Why didn't they do this with the railroad strike? Like, why didn't he put out this video doing the same? Because he knew he was going to crush that railroad strike. So I'll take that off now. And we're gonna end this short segment. This was kind of a good warm-up segment here, but just kind of going through some of the beautiful memes and responses to this nonsense. Strike ready, and then you see the meme there, self-explanatory. You can read it yourself. Didn't you just vote to crush a railroad strike because it wasn't good for the billionaires? Like, he had to have seen these responses coming. Didn't this guy vote against the rail worker strike, asking for a friend? Cough, cough, rail workers, cough, cough. Fraud on top of fraud, unfollowed and muted. I advise any real good faith actors and rebels and revolutionary minded people to do the same. Yeah, this group is nonsense. Are you seriously doing this right now? Like, they think people have this short of memory. Not anymore. Anti-union strike bookers say what? Tacoma Mike. What's up, Tacoma Mike? Been following each other for a while. This man is a liar and a fraud. Oh, no. I've been retweeting him for a while. I don't think I actually follow him. Or, he doesn't follow me, but I follow him. I don't know if that's the original Tacoma Mike. He had more followers than that. Not sure. This man is a liar and a fraud. So as you can see, it's been every single comment. The guy who voted to crush a union rail strike last Christmas wants you to think he likes and supports unions. And then it's DSA and Democrats. And I think we can end there. That's a good picture to end this shorter segment with. Just like they're trolling us. They're either trolling us, or just think that we are stupid, don't value our intelligence, don't think we're smart. I mean, this is silly. Yeah. All right. So let's continue down our story path here. Now, that one was our Jamaal Bowman story, but that Jamaal Bowman story and Strikebreaking is also connected to another story that I'm going to skip to. Wasn't planning to do this one next, but that's the AOC story. I'm going to minimize this again and pull up this AOC story. Did I save the AOC story here? Can't wait till we get to that Afro man too. But let's go to the AOC story, because let's stay on par with this Democratic BS nonsense. And AOC. It's the viral one. Where do I have it? I may have retweeted it, but let's go to it. AOC is called out. I don't like to go to my page to find these things, because sometimes I retweet a lot of shit. But it looks like I'm gonna. Oh no, here it goes. All right, so got it. Here is a video that is not getting a very good response, and we're gonna watch it right now. Yeah, let's watch it. Well, actually, let me check out something first here. I want to see what does it look like. So, of course, you know her people are gonna like it, of course, but look at the amount of comments and retweets. This is what's telling me these comments is not that great about this. But first, we have to listen to what is said in this video. So we go from Jamal Bowman to AOC, staying within the Justice Democrats and the Progressive Democrat stratosphere. So AOC is a very, very bad actress. And we will start here, Aaron, for this segment. AOC is a very, very bad actress. And let's play what she says here. I'm going to rewind it. And let's see what she says and why the backlash.
Just a few years ago, when we introduced the Green New Deal, we were told again and again, this is not realistic. This is unreasonable, that this is just a pie in the sky notion, right? But we said, watch us work. That's okay, watch us work. And as they say, as the adage goes, first they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then we win. And that, in a nutshell, is a big part of what we've experienced over the last couple of years. First, we were called unrealistic. Then, when it came time to the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act, we started to fight. We said we are not going to take crumbs and we're not going to settle for that we need bold, big climate action and we need it now. And that fight resulted in the largest piece of climate legislation in American history.
Nick says this all the time. She has completely given up on actual activists, actual leftists, actual radicals. That she's completely said, hey, what I have to do to be a careerist at this it conflicts with being in line with those people anymore. She's completely written us off. And you can tell in this speech, the idea that she's trying to spin that anything that this government, red or blue, has done is beyond incrementalism. If you didn't hear it, listen to this second part. I think it's right around here.
They say, as the adage goes, first they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then we win. And that, in a nutshell, is a big part of what we've experienced over the last couple of years.
What have we won? What is she talking about? She goes on.
First, we were called unrealistic. Then, when it came time to the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act, we started to fight. We said we are not going to take crumbs.
Inflation Reduction Act. So this is a couple of things here I want to say. This is the reason why it's so very important that channels, non-establishment channels, call this out every time, or call this out as much as you can when she does this type of stuff. This is her moving the Overton window. This is her misrepresenting what a socialist is to millions of young people. This is what makes young people who listen to Voss think that he's a socialist. This is what make people think that is his name Hassan Piker donating money. I heard he donated a lot of money. That's great, but he's not a socialist. It is just like the complete, just not anymore straddling the fence in her rhetoric, trying to loop around and be both left and radical. Now she just said just establishment talking points is what she's going with. But let's continue.
And we're not going to settle for that we need bold, big climate action, and we
bold, big climate action. Bold, big climate action. Those are not words I would describe the Inflation Reduction Act or any of the bills that she just was talking about. The other bill, she was just talking about infrastructure bill. None of these was bold. None of these were big. Even at the time, you guys were holding out saying that. But now, somehow, she wants to retell history. The Inflation Reduction Act, the Black Agenda Report reported on this. It's not a climate bill whatsoever. What it gives away to damage climate and what it supposedly gives to help climate is essentially this. And this, I'll give this analogy, is essentially you have a sinking boat, two people in the boat. This is the Inflation Reduction Act. One person, the boat is sinking, has a hole. One person is taking water from inside the boat with a bucket, throwing it out into the ocean. Another person is taking water outside of the boat from the ocean, putting it in the boat. Would you say that that's a wash? So her saying this next line means nothing. If I give you 1 penny in my lifetime, or I'm sorry, I give you 1 penny since I've known you, and then today I decide to give you 2 pennies, couldn't I say I've given you an historic amount of money that I've ever given you? Couldn't I use that line? That line is used so much. That's a propaganda line. Historic. If I only gave you 1 penny, then I give you 2. Couldn't I use that word, that line, historic? So let's listen.
We need it now. And that fight resulted in the largest piece of climate legislation in American history. In American history. That is because of the coalitions built that are not just supporting the Green New Deal, but supporting all climate action across a broad progressive spectrum. This coalition of grassroots people and everyday people deciding to make this a political priority is why we are getting the results that we're getting today. We said, watch us work.
This is a lot what progressives do. It's like referring to some imaginary movement that's happening. They think organizing to vote for Democrats is a movement. It's so bizarre. But I don't even get the impression, and I'm going to replay it without the sound. I don't get the feel that she believes what she's saying. You see that there? That's such like not a facial expression she would make if it was natural. It seems forced. So we went from AOC sitting and having this video. We've all seen it. I think it's at a coffee shop with a couple of people, and she's talking about I will be a one-term politician. It's all about not cozying up to power, is it being adjacent to power, and it's all about responding to the grassroots and to the community and being accountable to them. To this, she went from that to this. And that's AOC. So we're going to play it one more time, and then we're going to close out this segment. I'm going to play it all the way through because I know I kept stopping it, so it can be one cohesive thought. Let's play it all the way through one time and close this segment. Move on.
Just a few years ago, when we introduced the Green New Deal, we were told again and again, this is not realistic. This is unreasonable, that this is just a pie in the sky notion, right? But we said, watch us work. That's okay. Watch us work. And as they say, as the adage goes, first they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then we win. And that, in a nutshell, is a big part of what we've experienced over the last couple of years. First, we were called unrealistic. Then, when it came time to the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act, we started to fight. We said we are not going to take crumbs and we're not going to settle for that we need bold, big climate action and we need it now. And that fight resulted in the largest piece of climate legislation in American history. In American history. That is because of the coalitions built that are not just supporting the Green New Deal, but supporting all climate action across a broad progressive spectrum. This coalition of grassroots people and everyday people deciding to make this a political priority is why we are getting the results that we're getting today. We said, watch us work.
I mean, I have no more words for this person today. Let's move on to another story. It's sad that anybody's still buying this. It's sad, but we must still report on it because for that one person that hasn't heard somebody say and call this out, we have to keep reporting on this until each person who's still buying this story is not buying this story. It's so clear at this point, but still there could be people who are still buying this, to be perfectly honest with you. So we shall see. But let me just toss up this here quick intermission story, because it's really just a headline and maybe a sentence. Did anybody see this here? This is from a couple of days ago or maybe yesterday. So you know the Hunter Biden story where during the time when it came out, there were, CIA people that came out and said, hey, this is not a real story. Remember that? Turns out, ex-acting CIA director reveals he had 50 spies sign a letter saying Hunter Biden laptop scandal was a Russian disinformation disinformation to help Joe Biden win the presidential election. Take that pop-up off here. That is insane to me. And then there's another headline here. And I'll pop that up. It's another headline that doesn't have so many pop-ups. Oh, I hit the same thing. My bad, everybody. Hold on, everybody. It's coming. All right, so here we go. So this next one is on antiwar.com that we're going to be going to. And it's the same story, but it's a little bit more concise and put together. So we're going to go here for this next, to actually read the actual details about. And here's their headline. Here, ex-CIA chief led campaign to smear Hunter Biden laptop story as Russian disinformation. So ex-CIA chief and Hunter Biden story. This is amazing to me. Maybe not to you. Quick intermission story before we get to the next one. Mike Morrell, I'm sure Mike Morrell was asked by Anthony Blinken, a then senior campaign official, to organize the letter signed by 51 intelligence officers or officials which falsely claimed the story was part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Do you see what's going on here? This is Anthony Blinken right here. Isn't he the what is he? The Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. This is when he was a senior campaign official. You're talking about Biden campaign. So Morrell was asked by Anthony Blinken, a then senior campaign official, to organize the letter signed by 51 intelligence officials which falsely claimed the story was part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Mike Morrell, the former acting CIA director, revealed to the House Judiciary Committee, led by Jim Jordan, that he played a key role in rallying former intelligence officials to sign a letter which sought to discredit reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop scandal during the 2020 presidential election. In a transcript interview with Jordan's team, Morrell explained that his role in the suppression of the key story was done on behalf of the Joe Biden campaign and at the behest of now Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who was then a senior campaign official. According to the committee's press release, quote, Morrell testified that on or around October 17, 2020, Blinken reached out to him to discuss the Hunter Biden laptop story. According to Morrell, although Blinken's outreach was couched as simply gathering Morrell's reaction to the Post story, it set in motion the events that led to the issuance of a public statement. Quote, the committee is now investigating Hunter Biden's laptop as well as the Biden family international business dealings. The story about Hunter, that should have been in quote there. The story about Hunter Biden's laptop was originally published in October 2020 by the New York Post. The laptop was abandoned at a Delaware computer repair shop in 2019. The Post published subpoenas which showed the FBI had seized the laptop. However, the shop's owner had made a copy of the laptop's hard drive and provided it to Donald Trump's ally and former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani. In September 2020, the Post was tipped off about the laptop's existence by Steve Bannon. Twitter, Facebook, and other major platforms outright censored or took action to suppress the reach of the story immediately. The letter organized by Morrell, which was signed by more than 50 former intelligence office officials seeking to discredit the report, was published by Politico on October 19th, 5 days after the story was originally reported by the Post. So we have Biden administration. Remember how they reached out and got a headline changed? Oh, a headline about Tara Reid. They got changed. He reached out to, I think it was the Times. Now we have the Biden campaign reaches out here to the CIA and says, CIA chief, say, hey, hook this up, sir. Creating narratives, blocking narratives from taking flight so that it can affect the election. They had to do all of this just to beat Trump. Trump, who's so bad. If he's this bad, why is it this hard for you to beat him? You have to do stuff like this. You have to reach out to CIA chiefs and say, hey, can you smear the sources or the sourcing of this story, please? Thank you. Anthony Blinken involved. Corruption. Just terrible. Anyway, so that is the short, quick story. It had the longest segment name, but it is the shortest story. Now let's get into this next story I have here. Just kind of muttering along through all these short, great stories. This next one is about capitalism and what their reaction will be. Let's start with the video of the announcement of a global South country taking one of their natural resources or making it nationalizing it, I should say. And that country is Chile. Or Chile announces plan to nationalize lithium industry. And I think they're the number one or two, I think it's two, producer of lithium. So this is big for capitalists. I wonder what they're going to say, what sort of democracy they're going to need to bring to Chile now. Chile nationalizes lithium. Did I spell that right? Let me know if I did not spell that right. I did it quickly. So I think this video is not even 2 minutes. So let's listen.
Chile is going to nationalize its lithium industry, the world's second largest producer of the metal essential in electric vehicle batteries. President Gabriel Boric announced a shock move in a televised address on Thursday, saying it's the country's best chance at, quote, transitioning to a sustainable and developed economy.
Chile has one of the largest lithium reserves of the world. It is a mineral that, being in electric bus and car batteries, is key in the fight against the climate crisis, against climate change. This is an opportunity for economic growth that will be difficult to beat in the short term.
The announcement poses a fresh challenge to EV makers scrambling to secure battery materials as more countries look to protect their natural resources. Mexico nationalized its lithium deposits last year, while Indonesia banned exports of nickel ore, a key battery material, in 2020. Boric's plans for public-private partnerships managed by the state mean control of Chile's vast lithium operations would in time be transferred from industry giants SQM and Albemarle to a state-owned company. Albemarle said the announcement would have no material impact on our business, while SQM was not immediately available for comment. Boric said he would present his plans to Congress in the second half of the year.
We'll send a law proposal to create the National Lithium Company to Congress. It will look for partners to develop value-adding projects. This implies making an additional effort to not only extract raw materials, but to convert them into new products with high technological value. We can do it in Chile.
Congress has to approve these plans. It has been a check on many of Boric's more ambitious proposals and shelved a tax reform bill in early March.
So that is the announcement directly from the president.
What is the
Chile?
status of your mine in Chile?
Hi, Brian. Well, thanks for having me on. And so the news out of Chile last night caused some confusion.
Sorry, not playing that second video. Now we're going to this next part just to show a couple of headlines. This is from oilprice.com, and you see the headline there. They are nationalizing lithium. Something's going to happen. You'll see what's happening in the news. Let's go to another headline. Actually, would you like to receive? No, I would not. Okay. So let's go to another headline. Let's see. Where do I have another one? right here. So this next one, let's take this one. Common Dream, actually. Common Dream. I have an article from, they're talking about it too. And then we'll land on the one I'm going to read a little bit on. Here's Common Dream. Talking about the same sort of thing here. Here's the headline. Chilean president unveils plan to slowly nationalize lithium industry. So that's another point we want to make sure we zero in. This is he's slowly doing it. It's not, quick. Let me make sure I'm on the right. So I can close this one and I can close that one. Okay. So one more headline and then we'll get to the story that I'm going to read. So here is, close that one. Instead of doing all of them, let me pick one. Okay. So I'll pick this one from Foreign Policy. No, Reuters. Let's do Reuters. All right. So Reuters had the video, and here's their article to kind of back up the video or that accompanies the video. Chile plans to nationalize its vast lithium industry, and then I'll just read some of these summaries here, and then we'll get into the detailed article here. So here is the summary. Chile to create state-owned lithium company, state firm to control world's largest lithium reserve, copper giant Codelco to play key role. So those are some of the takeaways that they list here. And then now I'll bring up this final article that talks about it, and that is on, is it Foreign Policy? I think it's, it's foreignpolicy.com. They kind of talk about it here. So let's bring it up. They called this, and this article is titled Chile's White Gold. Now, researching and doing this topic, and I hate these pop-ups on Reuters, and doing this topic, I found out that white gold is a nickname for lithium. And this is from foreignpolicy.com. Chile's white gold rush. In a move to nationalize lithium, Santiago could freeze vital foreign capital investments. So you see the point of view. All right. Oh, the shit up here. All right, so let's continue or read a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of this article here, and this was written a couple of days ago. Welcome back to the World Brief, where Chile nationalizes its lithium industry. Britain reshuffles its cabinet, and Russia strikes the wrong city. So I guess they're going to talk about a bunch of things. In this first part, they talk about the white gold. And Chile's left wing government is moving to exert more state control over one of the country's most valuable natural resources. Chilean President Gabriel Boric announced on Thursday that he will nationalize the country's lithium industry to boost the economy and protect biodiversity. Chile is the second, this is where I got that from. Chile is the second largest producer in the world of the lucrative metal, also known as white gold. So they're the second largest producer of this metal, lithium, this thing that's so important for the future, for climate change. And this is where I also found out it's also called white gold, which is critical for producing the batteries used in electric vehicles and other clean energy technologies. According to the World Bank, lithium demand is expected to explode in the coming decades. Economists predict that the production must increase by more than 450% by 2050 to accommodate skyrocketing need. Now you see why they're in Somalia. I think Somalia is where they have some lithium. You notice where they have these lithium natural resources deposit, then you see, oh, there's suddenly a conflict over there that the United States has to bring freedom to. So, but we're going to continue with the article. Just curious to see what some of you are saying right here. Let's put this one up here. Lithium and cobalt as well. Both of those are highly important in making batteries. And that's from Bill Bradley. Okay, he says USA Gov, not USA. Whenever a country nationalizes some of their natural resources, they get a target on their back from the US. And that is absolutely spot on. And I mean, we already, isn't that why they're in Venezuela? I know it's some other natural resources. I mean, they're already in some of these places where lithium is a natural resource, and I think I don't want to misquote, so I don't want to say that. I'll go off my memory sometimes, and sometimes it's not correct. So let's not do that for that last part that I was going to say. So let's get back to the article and finish out here. Here, okay. We left off here. Under the plan, the government will negotiate with the two lithium mining companies in the country. So it looks like they only have two. I'm going to stop here. They only have two lithium mining companies in the country. And where was I? All right, let me close. I have them up twice. That'll help for me to get it mixed up. Here are the two company names, SQM and US-based Albemarle, for a larger stake in their current contracts. These negotiations, as well as any new contracts, will be overseen by state-owned copper producers Codelco, which has also been tasked with creating a framework for establishing a new state-owned lithium company in the future. Boric must still seek approval from Chile's National Congress, which he lacks a majority in the second half of this year to solidify the move, meaning the plan could undergo significant changes before all is said and done. Yeah. Now, it's interesting the perspective of this website. We've used them before. And let's just say they're telling you from the capitalist perspective. And what I'm hearing is maybe the U.S. has some paid off members in the Chilean Congress, so they know that they have some sort of backstop, or maybe that's what they're banking on, or something of that effect in that world. So we'll end it there. Chile nationalizes its lithium industry or makes a move towards that direction. And let's see what the United States, how they're going to interject themselves into this issue, because we know they will. And let's go to the next item now, which is back to Twitter under bookmark. Under April 23rd here. The next segment, Greenwald. This one, when he goes on, I think this is the Glenn Beck show is the first one I want to go over. Okay, it's down here. So this one it's gonna be I did some of the other stories so I can piece all these next stories as one segment because it's involving Glenn Greenwald. So Glenn Greenwald is basically talking with a couple of people about the who ruled Black Socialists. So let's go Greenwald and company on Black Socialists, and I'm saying and company Socialist, right? Sure, everybody will laugh and let me know if I did it wrong. Greenwald and company on Black Socialists, and this is Glenn Beck. So let me read the caption here, and this is Glenn Beck's tweet. Glenn Greenwald tells me the Biden DOJ, Department of Justice, just set an extremely dangerous precedent by trying to turn 4 Black socialist radicals into felons for speaking out against the war in Ukraine. I don't care what your politics are. We have a First Amendment. Now, this here is one of the great values of Glenn Greenwald. He's allowed in these spaces with conservatives such as Glenn Beck, Tucker Carlson, where he's able to insert left messages, or what we would call left messages, or messages that shouldn't be left but are left messages. And this is one of them. If you believe in free speech, if you believe in freedom and liberty and all these other things, you should be speaking up on this too, even if you don't agree with the group's beliefs. So let's listen to Glenn and Glenn speak. That's Greenwald and Beck.
This is actually a chance for the constitutionalist right to actually stand up and make this an issue, because we have nothing in common with these people. And I don't want anyone silenced, anyone. And this is a chance for us to stand up and do what the press will never do for somebody on the right. They should have stood up with Alex Jones and said, we don't like the guy. We don't like the guy. But he has a right to say what he's going to say. The same thing we should be now doing on this side, because it'll just confuse the hell out of them. And it will show that we actually have principles behind what we say.
You have to have principles behind what you say. Otherwise, what it seems like you're saying is just kind of a special pleading for your own allies. And I'm really glad to hear that, because as you know, as well as anybody, Glenn, it is very common for people on the right to be accused of being Russian agents. That is probably the go-to accusation by establishment liberals and kind of the never Trump wing of the Republican Party that accuses everybody who disagrees with them of being a Kremlin agent, of serving the Russian government. And if you now got the Biden Justice Department expand what that means and allow them to turn you into a felon, not just ruin your reputation or ban you from social media, but prosecute you criminally under federal law, that is an extremely dangerous precedent, including for lots of people who have different ideologies than these defendants.
So, I mean, there's a couple of things here. This is just another issue that there could be a lot of overlapping policy beliefs, and that's what conservatives, libertarians on this particular issue involving the who rule Black Socialists. And to have people, again, like Glenn Beck and Tucker Carlson, I don't agree with on literally nothing, except for maybe this and like Ukraine. I don't know what Glenn Beck's stance is on Ukraine. I don't listen to him at all. Like, I heard of him more when he was on TV. Now that he's not really on TV, I don't really know him too well anymore, or his stuff. So, but this is so when some of the boutique left, the NATO left, come out and call Glenn Greenwald, oh, he's a right winger. Look, he's over here with the Tucker Carlson doing this. He's over here with Tucker Carlson doing that. Why isn't AOC on Tucker Carlson talking about the black socialists that are being singled out by the Biden administration? Why isn't it Bernie Sanders calling into the Glenn Beck show to say, hey, you right wingers, come and support this if you are for free speech? Why is it left up to these people who the NATO left and the boutique left are calling right wingers to do these things? Why is that? Like, where is AOC? Where are them? Where are they on this? Now, if I'm wrong, if anybody has heard them say anything about this, like what the hell is going on? People can't have opinions in opposition to the Ukraine war or their views on anything, or are they going to get prosecuted? Like, it's absurd. So let's let it finish out here. Yeah, let's let it finish out.
You have to have principles behind what you say. Otherwise, what it seems like you're saying is just kind of a special pleading for your own allies. And I'm really glad to hear that, because as you know, as well as anybody, Glenn, it is very common for people on the right to be accused of being Russian agents. That is probably the go-to accusation by establishment liberals and kind of the never Trump wing of the Republican Party that accuses everybody who disagrees with them of being a Kremlin agent, of serving the Russian government. And if you now got to the Biden Justice Department, expand what that means and allow them to turn you into a felon, not just ruin your reputation or ban you from social media, but prosecute you criminally under federal law, that is an extremely dangerous precedent, including for lots of people who have different ideologies than these defendants.
So that's Glenn Greenwald on Glenn Beck. So you have Glenn Beck now who are saying things, not a lot of things, but saying some things, one or two things that's to the left of the squad of the Bernie Sanders, of all the progressive Democrats. You have Matt Gaetz, who in a hearing was questioning the chief or the highest ranking person in AFRICOM on training people to commit coups. Why isn't AOC, the squad, and Bernie Sanders doing that stuff? We have, Matt Gaetz and the Freedom Caucus forcing the vote and extracting things they want. Why isn't the squad doing that? So we're not going to, these people are like, we're supposed to sit back and wait for the squad to do this before we acknowledge that some people are doing it and they just happen not to be on the left.
This is actually a chance for
let's go to the next video, which is the Tucker one. So Glenn goes on Tucker. Is it this one? Yes. Glenn goes on Tucker, and let's watch his appearance on Tucker on the same topic. And again, why is it available to go on these supposed not supposed, they are right wing, these right wing shows, platforms? Why are they have a red carpet, a open arms to go on these platforms, but to go on the so-called left platforms like MSNBC, there's crickets? Why is that? So here's Tucker Carlson and Glenn Greenwald talking about the same topic. Is a slightly longer segment than the last one we just did with Glenn Beck. But here is Tucker and Glenn Greenwald. Yes, spelled all right.
The latest group of Americans to find their constitutionally protected opinions become felonies are, believe it or not, an organization of black nationalist left-wingers who oppose the war in Ukraine. The DOJ has just charged many in this group with seeking to, quote, sow discord, spread pro-Russia propaganda, and interfere in elections within the United States. Now, there's no evidence they interfered with any election. You're allowed to be pro-Russia. You're allowed to be pro-anything you want in the United States. Saying things the government doesn't like, having unfashionable opinions or opinions that are out of step with Joe Biden's opinions, that is not a crime. You can spread pro-Russia propaganda if you want to. You can spread anti-Russia propaganda if you want to. You can say whatever you want, but not anymore. According to the indictment, the criminals in question, quote, wrote articles that contained Russian propaganda and disinformation. Huh? They also gave speeches and posted videos that annoyed the State Department. Here's one of them.
There's a discussion about Russian military border buildup on its border with Ukraine and how this represents a terrible threat to Ukraine by Russia. But there is no acknowledgement of the history that took us to this place, how the U.S. overthrew, participated in facilitating the overthrow of a government in Ukraine that was friendly to the Soviet Union, nor does it talk about the history of this relationship between Ukraine and Russia. This is an ongoing aggression. It did not just start. It's all.
So what Tucker Carlson does here is that, yeah, this group is, I don't agree anything with this group at all, but we should be standing up for free speech. But what he does is take something that his audience in particular would agree with, and that's this talking against Ukraine war. He's using it as an example, but the example is something they happen to agree with.
It's been going on for a while, but the U.S. government relies on the ignorance of the people in this country and much of the world that's facilitated by people like Zuckerberg.
So, for whatever it's worth, we're not really sure who that guy is. We know he's American.
And he's doing Zuckerberg too, if you didn't hear. So he threw in Mark Zuckerberg too, which is another sort of punching bag of the Tucker Carlson show. So let's continue.
American, pretty sure that on a lot of issues we likely would not agree with him. A lot of what he just said in that video seems to be true. But even if it weren't true, even if he was wrong, it would still be constitutionally protected speech. In a free country, which we had until recently, you are allowed by definition to have dumb opinions. Most of us do, but not anymore. So that man you just saw is facing 10 years behind bars for expressing views about Ukraine that the Biden administration doesn't want to hear. That's terrifying. Does no one else think that's terrifying? It is terrifying. And to that man's credit, whoever he is, he saw it coming. Here he is at a rally last month.
They have declared that black people are so stupid that it takes Russians to tell us that we are oppressed. I have never known a moment of black freedom for my entire life. I have never read of a moment since the beginning of a colonial mode of production where black people have been freed. And yet they're saying that we are working, we are agents of some foreign power because we say black people must be free.
Okay, again, we're not defending that guy because we agree with all of his views. We probably don't. That is totally irrelevant. Whether you agree with what someone is saying has nothing to do with his right to say it. Americans are allowed to say what they think is true, period. If they take that right away, you are no longer a citizen, you are a slave. Glenn Greenwald is the host of System Updates. He joins us tonight. Glenn, thanks so much for coming on. I'm actually in some ways glad that they went after a group of people I probably don't agree with on a lot of things because it just makes it so much clearer. This is not partisan. This guy is saying something the regime doesn't like, and they're trying to put him in jail. How is this happening in America?
I think one of the critical things to remember is even before January 6th, the Biden administration said their priority is to launch a domestic war on terror, to take all the tactics we used against Al-Qaeda and ISIS and foreign terrorist groups and direct it inward because they perceive that anti-establishment dissidents in America, like the person you just showed, are the real enemy. And that's what this is about. There's a foreign agents law that is supposed to be if you say things you don't really believe because some foreign government is paying you millions of dollars to say them, you have to register. That's not the case with these people. These are people who have been radical black leftists for decades. They're not the people the Democratic Party likes. They hate the Biden administration. They're against the war in Ukraine. And they claim that they found $500 here, $2,000 there that have origins in the Russian government for events they did. This is what we criticize Russia for. We fund opposition groups in Russia, and then Russia says those are foreign agents. And we objectively say a foreign agent is only somebody saying things a foreign government tells them to say. And now we're using that same theory. We say Russia makes Russia tyrannical to criminalize dissent in the United States. That's what this case is about.
So what's interesting about this is these are not MAGA people. These are the victims of systemic racism they're always lecturing us about, right? And their First Amendment rights have just been stripped, and they're looking at jail terms for having opinions Biden doesn't like. Where are the liberals? Where's Morning Joe? Where are all the sensitive white liberals to defend these people?
Where is AOC?
They're not.
Where's Bernie?
This is why I'm so
Where
glad
are
you're covering
they?
this case, Tucker, because this is the tactic that tyrants always use. When they want to implement an authoritarian precedent, they choose people that makes others uncomfortable. When they wanted to start banning people from the internet, they chose Milo Yiannopoulos and Alex Jones because they knew that even Republicans would say, I don't want to defend those people. They're a bridge too far. And then the precedent gets set and they expand it inward. Again, these are not people, the kind of black radicals, Democratic Party, establishment representatives like. They're people who attack the Biden administration, who don't vote Democrat. These are real dissidents, and they know that not even Democrats will defend them.
No, they're not taking money from Apple and Facebook. They weren't in on the BLM scam. They actually mean it. Now you're making me like them. Glenn Greenwald, I appreciate your coming on tonight and getting, as you always do, to the core issues underneath it all. Thank you.
Great to be with you, Tucker. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, the point is made at the end is like, where are all these people who claim, who have BLM in their, who had the terry cloths or whatever those cloths were, the African cloths they had with George Floyd died, Pelosi, that whole scene, the picture. Like, where are they now when it comes to this? Great appearance though. As always, love when Glenn goes on Tucker and Jimmy. I think those are the only two times I cover, unless Tucker covers, something crazy or he says something crazy.
The latest group of Americans to find their constitutionally
protected. But other than that, yeah. Now let's go to the next story, which also has, let me see, Tucker, Glenn, Beck. It's connected but not connected, more so not connected. No, let's do this other one. So let's do the final one of two more thumbnail stories. I haven't got to the Stephen Donziger. So Ziger is not no N in it. So Ziger. So let me make sure I say it the right way. So let's get to that segment and let's toss it up. So you know how about Earth Day? So Stephen Donziger called out by Democratic Party protester. Let's close that one. All right. Let's see if I spelled this right before we get started. Stephen Donziger called out by Democratic Party protester, and that is actually what our next topic will be here. And that is down here. Okay, I gotta remember where these videos are. Yeah, we'll come back to that video. Donziger. Oh, here it goes. Right here. And this one is Indie News Network. And this is their video who posted this first. Wow, it's jumped to 5,800 views already, huh? But this is the Earth Day event. And maybe I'll go to Stephen Donziger's page first. So let's check out what the event is supposed to be. Okay. So let's do that. And I think he has it right here. So this is the event that was protested, and the picture is about, or the graphic is about to pop up in just a second, I believe. Okay, there we go. Join Marianne Williamson for President 2024. Come celebrate Earth Day to repair a bond so cruelly broken. To repair a bond so cruelly broken. And it says special guest Stephen Donziger. Saturday 22nd, and this is yesterday. So he put this out. You can see him. Says speaking tomorrow with presidential candidate Marianne Williamson in New York at 3 p.m. at 9 West 8th Street in celebration of Earth Day. Marianne will be talking about her climate plan and her promise to cancel the disastrous Willow project on day one. Please join. Now, the response to this right here, we're going to get back to in a second, because that's not the first part of this story, because wait till we get to the response that she had. Maybe I should have saved that, but oh well, we'll go back to it. So let's read the caption, and then we'll play the video. It's about 30 seconds long. It says, at an Earth Day event in Manhattan, Stephen Donziger said some things that didn't sit right with, and it has the protester's name. It's Lucy, friend of the show, friend of the network. And so she tried her best to turn him away from the dark side and away from the snake oil saleswoman that is Marianne Williamson. And here's a quote: "You are wasting our time and money, so are all the fucking hipsters in here." And he says he missed the first 2 seconds of this footage. So the first 2 seconds is cut off. But let's listen. Now he's speaking. Stephen is up there right now speaking. That's him. You see the American flag all the way in the far back, against the brick wall. That's him speaking, and she stands up somewhere towards the right middle of the screen, somewhere over here near the camera somewhere. So listen, 30 seconds long.
Excuse me, Stephen. I'm sorry, but the Democratic Party is not democratic. They're never going to let Marianne run. Kennedy is running, and he's not even going to get past the DNC alive. You're wasting our time, and you're wasting our money, and so are all these other hipsters in here. You are and you don't know what the you're talking about.
She says you're wasting our time and money, and so are these fucking hipsters in here. By hipsters, I think she means they're probably a room full of professional managerial class people that she's calling hipsters. But I find that funny. That's Lucy Blue Moon on Twitter, if for those that don't know who she is. I'm gonna rewind it, but I knew I was gonna laugh there every time I watched it. It's so funny that I've laughed in that spot. So now I'm gonna replay it and hopefully I'll able to let it get through here.
Excuse me, Stephen. I'm sorry, but the Democratic Party is not democratic. They're never going to let Marianne run. Kennedy is running, and he's not even going to get past the DNC alive. You're wasting our time, and you're wasting our money, and so are all these other hipsters in here. You are clueless, and you don't know what the you're talking about. Excuse me, Steve.
Oh, that's so good. So it wasn't a specific critique of Marianne Williamson per se. The critique is that you're trying to get people to support the Democratic Party again. And with something as serious as climate change, we can't keep playing this game here. It says you hipsters are also wasting our time and money, and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, she's so great. Oh, I love that shit. It says here, Lucy calling out the hipsters. Yes, I love that shit. You know I'm gonna have to play that shit one more time before I move on back to the tweet, because the tweet kind of is the same thing. People are like, this is some bullshit, man. What are you doing? Steven, we love you. Why are you tainting yourself with this? But we'll get to those comments in just a second. But let's listen. One more time. We got to listen to this funny thing.
Excuse me, Steven. I'm sorry, but the Democratic Party is not democratic. They're never going to let Marianne run. Kennedy is running, and he's not even going to get past the DNC alive. You're wasting our time, and you're wasting our money, and so are all these other hipsters in here. You are clueless, and you don't know what the you're talking about.
So obviously the professional managerial class people in the audience started saying stuff to her. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, that shit is classic. Classic Lucy. Oh man, that shit is so funny. Let's now go back to the let me catch my breath here. Let's go back to the tweet. Yeah, let's go back to the tweet. So here is Steven's tweet. And there's so many people willing to put their reputation on the line for this grift, for this, nonsense. So many people. You went to the store? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't even know that. All right, so let's read what Steven says here. That's the wife that I was talking to, by the way. So to be clear, President Biden already is being effectively challenged for, we got to remember what he says here, because there's a lot of people that's going to refer back to this part, for example, in their comments. So make sure you remember this, this caption. To be clear, President Biden already is being effectively challenged for the Democratic nomination by a serious, this is another one. Define serious. Serious opponents who is polling at 10%. Vital for the health of our democracy and planet that this race be covered. Marianne Williamson making big gains. They keep bringing up one poll from April 1st and not talking about the other subsequent. It's been like 3 other polls that has come out where she's in the single digits. And they're not reporting on that. They're acting like they don't see that poll. So then he mentions he's going to Earth Day. So let's hear what some of the people are saying. Did I save some of these somewhere? I may have saved, but anyway, we can just go down the line. Okay, so it already is starting here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for these comments, so you can see people aren't buying this. And here we go. Why the Democrats will just ignore the will of their voters and choose whoever they want anyway. Though I do say they do put up a mighty fine circus. It's entertainment. This person says Kennedy's my choice. And then here is Stephanie, friend of the show, retweet all the time. While I can support calling him out, meaning Biden, she has already said she wasn't challenging him. Then DNC is a corporation. They will pick a corporate candidate. It's time to go green. And she just posts the receipt there. This is the Guardian. Marianne Williamson says 2024 bid is not a challenge to Biden, but something else. And let me actually click on it and get the full title here. It's not actually a challenge to Biden, but a system. And that's what she wants to make clear. she's not challenging Biden. Let's continue. I'm really interested in an anti-war candidate. Marianne seems to support the U.S. NATO proxy war in Ukraine, though, so I probably pass or find an anti-war choice. I would have thought you, of all people, would see through this charade. This woman is a fraud of the highest order. Let me retweet some of these here. Since I'm reading them on the show, you deserve a retweet, right? Okay. Marianne is a grifter. ¿Y tú? Are you? Marianne is a grifter. Are you? Laughing my ass off, man. Jesus freaking Christ. You got jokes. Stop with this nonsense. I mean, have we seen a good comment? Stop shilling for this absolute fraud. I have issues with her stances on Palestine and other warmongering. Unless she strenuously reconsiders those, I don't find that compatible with the love and save the planet message. I am way more inclined to trust RFK Jr.'s integrity at this point. Now, this is a good point, because how can you be, I'm so climate change, but you're okay with the war machine, which is the largest polluter on the planet? You see how both of those can't really go together, which is a great point made here by by Bug Justine 1. Bug Justine 1. What does to be clear add to your message? Our democracy. And then you got this famous meme from the Goodfellas laughing. And then we have James here, Faro. I think that's how you say it. Such a huge friend of yours and Williamson, but cannot get on board with re-electing Trump. I don't know one soul who would back this tarot card reader for president, not one. I agree. I think Marianne, here's a good one for her. I agree. I think Marianne and Joe should ride the Democratic presidential primary campaign bus together and debate each stop. Joe, this is sarcasm, obviously. Joe is way better prepared. Once she drops out, Joe can turn around and say, does anyone else want some? That's pretty funny. Unfollowing you, thought you were a serious person. This is a Ukraine flag person. I hear Robert Kennedy is at 14%. Don't forget about Robert Kennedy. He has my vote. You and everyone else know she's not getting the nomination. I hope you refund any money you guys raise from the working class. And this is to our point. This is the point RBN is making. Yeah, maybe you're a nice person and all that. You're good-hearted and whatever. But if what you're trying to do is extract money from the working class, from the poor, that's where we draw the line. And all you're going to do is turn around and push people or suggest people to go vote for the Democratic Party, or we're going to get Trump or DeSantis. We're not going down that road any longer. Oh, Steven. Oh, no. Why would you attach yourself to a warmonger Zionist like this? All she has to offer are vibes and false hope until she drops out early and endorses Biden himself. She already praises him often when pressed on it. Save your money. We've seen this before. Man, this is not good. The one comment I thought was positive was actually sarcasm. I usually agree with everything you say, but you're on your own here. Marianne will capitulate and lay out the red carpet for Joe as soon as she's asked to. what's more, it's absolutely humiliating for her that nobody is even giving serious thought to Kamala Harris presidency. Margin of error in this poll is nearly 4%, by the way. So take that into consideration. Yeah, they keep saying 4%. They keep saying 10%. I think I'm going to end there with the comments. People aren't buying this Marianne Williamson stuff. So let's move on. So looking at the topics, I covered the Stephen Donziger protest just now. Jamaal Bowman getting dragged for his strikebreaking again. Tucker Carlson, Glenn Beck, and Glenn Greenwald talking black socialists. We went over the Chile nationalized lithium. We went over ex-acting CIA director admits he has 50 spies to sign that letter to claim that Hunter Biden story was Russian disinformation. And we cover AOC is a terrible actress. We have hit every single one of our stories in under 2 hours. This is a freaking record, I guess. But we have hit every single one of our stories that I listed. Now I'm going to cover one story that was not listed for the last 10 minutes or so in the stream here. Now we are at 281 likes, and we've had over 800 people that come through and watch us at one point. So plenty of you have not hit that like button yet. Let's see if we can get another 50 people to hit that like button. 50 people to hit that like button. And there is one more story. Yes, I forgot. I don't know if I listed it. JFK Tucker Carlson story. So I forgot about that one. So let's go back to my bookmarks. I don't think I have it. Did I forget to list it in? I may have forgotten to list it in the description box, but it is, it is some Robert Kennedy stuff. So that's what this last segment, we're going to go over some Robert Kennedy stories. This one almost was my intro. Let's listen to this nonsense right here. We're just going to listen to this video because this is it's all in the same story. So we're going to talk about Robert F. Kennedy or RFK Jr. Running and just various reaction running for prez. So various videos around this topic. Now, this first part, now, when we're talking Marianne,
what are your thoughts now, given this news?
I probably should have included this with the Marianne Williamson story, but didn't. But so we're talking progressive Democrats, better choice. If the choice is better and I'm a progressive, I'm actually going to choose Marianne Williamson because she's way better than Joe Biden, right? It shouldn't that be what progressive Democrats are doing? But what did RBN, Nick, and I specifically say? Why she's dead on arrival? Because the progressive establishment isn't supporting her. The Pramila Jayapals, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, the Rokanas will not be supporting Marianne Williamson or anyone else for that matter. They're supporting Joe Biden. And here is Rokana being gleefully happy about his support for Joe Biden.
Congressman, first of all, your reaction to this news that President Biden is planning to announce his re-election as soon as next week.
I'm excited. President Biden has delivered for the American people. Manufacturing jobs are coming back, $200 billion invested here. He's actually delivering what Trump promised. Trump said, look, we had the hollowing out of the middle class, of the heartland. President Biden with Congress is delivering, and that's why I believe he's going to succeed, and he's going to build on the victory he had in 2020.
And Congressman, you have said previously that centrist Democrats could pose the biggest political threat to President Biden in the race in 2024 in a potential primary. What are your thoughts now, given this news?
He's remarkably unified, the Democratic Party. He's done it for.
He said before something about a progressive challenger. Now he's, what do you mean? He's unifying. Let's go back to that question.
Biggest political threat to President Biden in the race in 2024 in a potential primary. What are your thoughts now, given this news?
He's remarkably unified, the Democratic Party. He's done it for two reasons. One, his agenda, which is helping working class Americans, helping bring manufacturing back, but two, also the extremism of the Republican Party. I mean, when you have someone like DeSantis signing an abortion ban at 6 weeks and saying you have to provide proof of rape to be able to get an abortion, let's just understand that is more radical than Ronald Reagan, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., or Donald Trump. And that's why the Republican Party has a real problem. I think those positions are unelectable in a general election. And you know who realizes that? Donald Trump. He's pleading with his party. Don't cut Social Security. Don't be so extreme on abortion. That's going to be the real problem heading into 2024.
Yeah, Trump notably quiet on abortion. But as we were just
So the guy who's the progressive, the one who wants to be labeled a progressive all the time, and he's one of those who's always trying to combat and keep that narrative. I'm a progressive. I'm a progressive. I'm a progressive. What does it mean when he comes out and says, I'm supporting Joe Biden, the neo-lib? And he's actually unifying, and he's actually progressive. And then we have AOC in a previous segment talking about the infrastructure, and it's been such a thing. This is not an incremental step. This is a huge thing. We have progressives coming out saying these types of things. Who does that serve? Does that serve the working class to pretend like everything's okay? To pretend like Joe Biden's a good choice for progressives? Who does this messaging serve coming from the establishment? And kid you not, AOC, Bernie Sanders are progressive establishment.
just saying, Congressman, Trump does hold a significant lead in polling among Republican primary candidates, at least those who have announced so far. When you look at a potential Democratic field, do you genuinely believe that President Biden is the only Democrat out there who could beat Donald Trump if he...
The only Democrat out there now, this is his chance as a progressive to say something. Oh no, he's come on. No, there's other good people on the bench, but Joe Biden is already there. He's already in power. Let's just go with him. He could still support him and acknowledge that there's other good people. Let's see, even though there's not, I don't think it is. I'm saying he could say that. So let's see what he says.
He ends up being the Republican nominee.
He's the best Democrat who could beat him because of his...
He's the best. A progressive Democrat is saying Dementia Joe is the best.
Blue-collar roots from Scranton, Pennsylvania, because he's done it before, because he genuinely believes in helping the working class and manufacturing, bringing that back to the United States. But look, I will say this. It would be foolish to underestimate Donald Trump. I was wrong about Donald Trump in 2016. I was wrong in 2020. I thought we would win by more votes than we did.
You barely won because you guys are terrible. And it's the same proof that proof is in the... If you were this much better than the Republican Party, it wouldn't be this close. There's the proof. Now let's go to another case. There's a bunch of case study QB. So I guess this is the case study section of this stream. So here is... Actually, let's go down to this other one I want to show. Because this is him. This is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on with Tucker Carlson. The caption here says, U.S. presidential candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. on the losses of the armed forces of Ukraine. No one talks about it, but 14,000 Ukrainian civilians and 300 military personnel died. Ukrainians can't stand it. Everything they tell us about the war is a lie. This is a very short clip. Maybe I'll look and see if there's a longer version of this, but this is a very short clip. Let's listen.
Nobody talks about this. There's 14,000 Ukrainian civilians who have died, but 300,000 troops. The Russians are killing Ukrainians at a 7-to-1 to 8-to-1 ratio. They cannot sustain this. What we're being told about this war is just not true. Nobody talks about this. There's 14,000 Ukrainian civilians who have died, but 300,000 troops.
14,000 Ukrainians, meaning civilians, but 300,000 troops. 300,000 troops. Obviously, that's not the number that the U.S. is saying. But this is one of the things, some of the things that RFK Jr. says that some people who are non-established make him appealing to them. Now now I'm not invested at all in the blue-red, so I can talk about this stuff with no attachment because I don't care. I'm not participating in any Democrat at all whatsoever. But Jimmy Dore makes the point here where that the only place to hear the truth about the war is on Tucker with RFK Jr. Why do you think CNN and MSNBC and everyone else in corporate news keeps lying about the war and won't even bring on dissenting voices to debunk pro-war narratives? That's a rhetorical question. That's from Jimmy. And got some more oh yeah, I was supposed to cover RBN on some more RFK news here. And let's listen to this short clip here.
All right, well, President Biden could have a significant challenge on his hand in the form of one Robert Kennedy Jr., the eldest son of the...
Now, here's another poll. Like I said, they only bring up one poll. Remember Stephen Donziger? She's at 10%. This poll right here, Marianne Williamson is clearly at 5% here.
Late Attorney General and presidential candidate Robert Kennedy, of course, was assassinated in 1968. But what's remarkable about this challenge...
So this is a USA Today Suffolk University poll conducted April 14th through 18th, so 5 days ago. 4% margin of error. So she could actually be at 1%. This is not serious. Anyway, let's continue.
Just how Robert Kennedy Jr. is polling in an environment where he's literally just begun this. Maybe owing to the name, maybe owing to frustration with how things are going in the economy or with the president. He gets 13 or 14%. It really hasn't even started yet. Let's get the read on all of this from Eliza Collins, the Wall Street Journal reporter. It's way too early, Eliza, and you remind me of that when we do these kind of segments. But what's remarkable here is coming out the gate with those kind of numbers. What do you think?
I think it shows that President Biden has a problem with the Democratic Party. Now, he is the only major candidate. I don't think that he has a real threat on his hands at this point, 13, 14%. But it shows to get that enthusiasm in order to win a general election and first a primary, he needs to do some work with Democratic voters. If, Robert F. Kennedy is polling in double digits, like you're saying, at just launching, there's a weak spot for Biden, and he needs to work to consolidate support and enthusiasm.
Now, normally other candidates who might have more heft and clout.
So let's go back to the poll. They keep saying this. Now, why would they do that? So you have a poll that comes out, says one thing. You have subsequent polls. Why aren't Marianne Williamson's people referencing the newer polls? Are we just going to keep referencing the old polls? So Marianne is not polling at 10%. So you keep hearing that. You hear it still on social media from their people. And they keep Marianne Williamson. Marianne is not polling at 10%. There's been several subsequent polls, that have come out where she's no longer this. So it's only been one where she's at 10%, and she's only at 10%. I've covered this in the segment. There's only showing 10% because what they're doing is taking people who said, yes, I want to pick Marianne and maybe, and adding that together to get 10%. She's actually only getting 3% where people say they pick Marianne Williamson. That's only 3% in the poll that they're quoting. In the 10% poll that they're quoting, only if you look at the numbers, there's only 3% who are picking her. The other are saying maybe. But they keep pretending is this high. Like, if she's this good, why are you having to pretend? Why are you having not to update your polling numbers?
Just launching, there's a weak spot for Biden, and he needs to work to consolidate support and enthusiasm.
Now, normally other candidates who might have more heft and clout in the party hold off unless one of these other candidates, Williamson or Robert Kennedy Jr., seems to do well. I mean, that's really what happened to Lyndon Johnson in 1968 when out of nowhere Eugene McCarthy did, outstanding in the New Hampshire race. He lost it, but he still came very close. And that prompted LBJ to bow out of the race. Robert Kennedy later joined the race, Robert Kennedy Sr.
Given a little history, I wanted you to hear that part before I play this next one right here. I think this is the last one on this story. This one is from the 5 talking about same guy.
Feudalism in our country.
While Joe Biden drags his feet on a 2024 run, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is ready to challenge him for the Democratic nomination. The media is trying to write RFK Jr. off as a fringe candidate, but he's already snagging 14% of Joe's voters. That's no fringe. And 30.
This is the same poll, so this is not a different one. This is USA Today, Suffolk University, and specifically 600 Biden voters from 2020. So the people who actually came out and voted for a Democrat, this is what they're picking. I guess. So it's probably higher for RFK if you include independents and Republicans. It's probably higher.
82% of Dems would rather have anybody but Biden. The president could stop all the Democrat backstabbing if he was popular and had a strong record to run on, but the White House can't even defend that.
69% of people polled by CNBC say they have a negative view of the economy. President Biden talks about the economy all the time. What? Why are people lying?
He talks about the economy all the time because he wants the American people to know that he's doing everything that he can to make sure that his policies that he's put forward that has shown that he's building an economy that doesn't leave anybody behind. I know you're reading a poll right now. That is one poll.
There you go. It's just one poll. So Dana, RFK offers an interesting intersection of stances, which makes his impact kind of hard to predict. Like, who does he hurt more, Republicans or Democrats? Obviously, he's hurting Biden right now. Yeah. But he's an old school liberal, anti-war, distrustful of government. But then what used to be hard left, which was anti-vax, is kind of now across all politics, but it can be hard right.
A lot of these things where people on the right and the left have met around on the other side, and I just sit there and go like, I'm not there, but I've watched it happen, and it's on several issues, many issues, including some of the labor union stuff. So a lot of Democrats rolling their eyes, right? They're saying, oh gosh, here we go again. But the 14% is one of the things. His name has the cachet, not as much as it used to.
Yeah.
But Camelot has kind of left the building on that one. But look at where he did the event. He had a very good rollout. He did it in Boston. Boston's media market shares with New Hampshire. Biden has really given the middle finger.
Now, New Hampshire is the state that the Marianne Williamson campaign and all the people like Crystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske, New Hampshire. They're moving South Carolina ahead, and they're mad. If RFK comes in here and rips New Hampshire away from Marianne Williamson, what is she going to do? What? Because he's likely to do that because he's from Boston and family's from Boston. They're from that area. This is all bad for Marianne Williamson. All bad. Let's continue the video.
To New Hampshire. by saying that we're going to do the first of the primaries in South Carolina instead. New Hampshire voters are, even if they're partisan Democrats, they're not happy about that. And so you might see if there's a way that RFK Jr. would be able to push Biden into having to debate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you haven't seen the White House actually get concerned, and we know what can happen, and we'll talk about it in the show, about when the White House campaign, Biden's campaign gets going, they could even get, a couple of dozen national security advisors to say things that aren't true.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of opposition research could they do on something like this if they put their mind to it? They might not think that they want to do it, but Joe Biden is a historically weak incumbent.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden is a historically weak incumbent. That is true. And I think that's the reason why they have not announced. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous that he hasn't. Ridiculous in the sense that of tradition, the way they do things to announce. And they love to point to certain people. Oh, what about this person? Oh, what about that person? This 80-year-old person known as Joe Biden should have already announced, and just not being clear. I just don't get what are they trying to accomplish. They're real vague on things. Like, why aren't there a clear plan, understanding about Joe Biden? I don't get that. And I think there's several reasons, because I think there's several reasons why it's not distinct. There's people that don't want him. And that's why you hear these stories that come out. You're starting to hear them talk about his age on corporate media. It's like these things aren't allowed unless somebody gives them an okay to talk about these things. And they're talking about these things because there's chatter in the background saying, like, yeah, this is a lot here to trying to accept. And maybe we should second think this with that. Here is now another angle of that is this with RFK. And that is, I'll read this caption. In his speech today announcing his run for presidency, RFK Jr. reveals that former CIA officer Amaryllis Fox, who also happens to be his daughter-in-law, is one of the top officers of his campaign. So a top advisor or person in his campaign is so-called former CIA officer who happens to be his daughter-in-law. So his son, one of his sons married, or it could have been his daughter, I guess, married someone. And their daughter-in-law is a CIA agent in the campaign. Let's listen to this 30-second snippet. I think that's what he says here, but let's listen.
I do not believe that everybody at the CIA is a bad person. My daughter-in-law, Amaryllis, who is one of the top officers on this campaign, spent her entire career as a clandestine agent for the CIA as a spy in the weapons of mass destruction program.
Now, I'm out on that. I mean, I'm out on it because it's the blue team, but you're trying to tell me, like, this makes me... Now, I know a lot of people like this guy, non-establishment, but what he's saying here about the CIA, not every CIA, I can't. To me, it's akin of saying every slave owner wasn't bad. It doesn't fly with me. Just doesn't fly. So he's lost me just on that. I'm lost on this guy.
In some of the most dangerous parts of the earth, and I have never met anybody with such courage. I do not believe that everybody at the CIA is a bad person. My daughter-in-law.
Well, that's good. This is not every cop is bad, really. Being a good father and a good cook doesn't make you a good dad, or I'm sorry, a good cop. In the same way, being nice to people in your regular life doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't make you a good CIA person. They don't translate. But let me see what else they got here. RFK Jr. and CIA. RFJ. Hang on a second here. RFK Junior CIA. Let's see what it, because I know there's a couple of people that says this. It says, I am glad RFK is running in the DNC. His message is the Democrats have become Republicans and Democrats are the ones who need to hear that. To run third party is just helping the 55-year-old marijuana processing prevalent since CIA assassinated his dad. Okay. Not part of the topic here. Let's see what Sabby says here. From what I saw today, it seems like RFK Jr. was willing to call out corruption with the CIA, for example, but then said there are some good CIA officers. Same thing with the Democratic Party. He realizes it's bad, but thinks it can be reformed, and I'll retweet that too from Sabby. So Sabby's on point too. Like, yeah, I'm not down with this. And this one here, we are living in a CIA pharmaceutical. Okay, this is an old one. All right, so no other new ones here. Am I missing? Okay, let's read this one. Never forget that RFK Jr. is just another Democrat who believes the capitalism should remain. Says only the middle class has the deck stacked against them, and describes a member of the CIA, the same organization that murdered his father, as courageous. And then let's turn a read on him. Okay, so all right, so I think we can kind of close it there. Here it goes. Here's a super chat from Zach. CIA might be the best protect him. I'm sorry. CIA might be best to protect him from the CIA. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Thank you for the super chat. Here's another one here. The biggest anti-war voices are ex-CIA. Now that's a good point, because Ray McGovern is a ex-CIA analyst and he's pretty he speaks out against it. So that is a good point that you make. But Ray McGovern has built a reputation. He's part of an organization that speaks out. So this person that's part of this campaign is not doing any of that. So I wouldn't give that person the same sort of benefit of the doubt that I would give a Ray McGovern, who has publicly is coming out, showing his face multiple times, multiple interviews. Not to say that even makes it believable. It just means it makes it more believable than anyone who has not done that themselves. So make sure you check out our, where was I going to go? My thing moves so weirdly here. I got to go to my page, and I'm going to be ending here in just a moment. But RBN Long Beach is here. Make sure you go follow it. Here is the account right here. Make sure you go follow. Here's a graphic for it too. Thank you. Aaron created this graphic. Revolutionary Blackout Long Beach chapter. Check us out. Let me see if I can do this. Make it a little bigger so you can see. Pretty nice graphic, right? Now you see why we have the fundraiser down below, RBN Labor Fundraiser Goal 1000 Venmo, and we have our GoFundMe now. So much support. Help us support and pay our editor, Aaron, fair labor value, what she wants to be paid by supporting. This is one of the graphics she did. Now, here's something else to know. So if you're in Long Beach, here is the regular graphic for it, if you wanted to check that out too. So if you're in Long Beach, Paramount, with some other surrounding cities, Seal Beach, Carlson, Torrance, Compton, LA, circling back around, Cypress, Buena Park, any of these surrounding cities, of Long Beach, you want to be part of RBN, the local chapter, reach out to us. Long Beach here, and it's if you want to go follow us on Twitter, is Rev Black LBC. Rev Black LBC for Revolutionary Blackout Long Beach City. Rev Black LBC. Follow the chapter, the Long Beach chapter of Revolutionary Blackout. Then here, get active locally. Join Revolutionary Blackout Long Beach and help support this community, serving Long Beach and surrounding areas. Here is our email. If you want to email us, or one of the emails, you can reach us. And in the subject line, put Long Beach chapter if you're interested. In the subject line, put Long Beach chapter if you're interested and you're in Long Beach. Now, did I have the other ones here? I don't. I wanted to show. Oh, actually, I do have them. I'm sure I'm here. But here goes a super chat. He stood up to Dems during Max Fear did the chat. Oh, sorry. Maybe that was this for you're answering something. There's another one here. Let me read this one first. A lot of people smelling their own farts in the chat. RFK Jr. has large body of work to judge him on. You guys need to do the work to see what he stands for, not what he says strategically. So, to this person's point, now I'm out on him because I'm out on the Blue Party. I'm out on duopoly. I'm post duopoly. And that CIA comment I'm not down with. But I know his body of work. I know he has a staunch opponent. He's been talking anti-establishment shit for a long time. Now he is really an anti-vaxxer. People have been loosely calling people anti-vax who are against COVID vaccinations. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is against all vaccinations. So he is really what you would call somebody who is anti-vax, which is why he appeals to a lot of libertarians. He appeals to a lot of conservatives because of that part. But then he is also non-establishment. He calls out the war machine. He does a lot of good stuff, and that's all good. I just can't fuck with the Democratic Party myself. You guys do what you want to do for your own self. So now let's get back to the shout out of the chapter. Long Beach chapter was something else I was going to show ya. Let me minimize this. It's too big here. Oh, I'll use one of these to send us out. But let me go to some of the other graphics here for some of the other chapters. If you're interested in some of the other chapters, let's go to those graphics here. We got lots of graphics here. So you see the fundraiser scrolling there at the bottom there. Now, this is some of the stuff that she does. Here's Aaron did this graphic here. So here goes some of the graphics we're going to scroll through to get to what I'm looking for. Here's another one. So all these graphics are done by Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for all these great graphics. Here's another one. These are all graphics to clips that you can go see on YouTube in our clip section. So you can go and see any of these. That's actually a live. This is our live stream there. So you can go back and see any of these clips or live streams right on our YouTubes. That's what these graphics are for. But you can see Aaron does some great work with our graphics. And she really did some great work with these next ones that are coming up. And that's our shout outs to our chapters. Lots of great graphics that Aaron is doing. That's really a nice one. And then I think it's after this one. Here is our chapter. So this one is for Detroit. So our Detroit chapter, that's what that looks like. Got Rome. That's where the RBN library is located in our Detroit chapter. Or we'll double. The chapter and the library be one and the same. So then we also have Orlando. So this is when for each one in the subject line, you just put the different chapter that you are near. So if you want the Long Beach one in the subject line, it'll say Long Beach RBN. If you want Orlando, it'll say Orlando RBN. Here is the Long Beach one. You see me with my cat. And then you in the subject line, you put Long Beach RBN. And then, of course, you got Nick with his. And then you got Sabby with hers. So all of our chapters, I think all of our chapters are going to be popping and really nice. A lot of interest in them. We've gotten tons of emails already for people interested in working with us. And we still haven't even sent it out to our Substack members. So we'll send it out to our Substack members maybe today, talking about our launch that's coming up. But if you want to be involved with our chapters, contact RBN. And in the subject line, put the city. In the subject line, put the city name. Make sure you do that. Very important. Subject line of the email, put the city name of the chapter that we went over. So on our way out, hit that like button, subscribe to our Substack. We're going to be closing it here with our shouting out our upcoming launch of our chapters. Sorry, had a brain freeze or whatever you call it for a second. But we're gonna end with the video on the Revolutionary Blackout Long Beach page. We're gonna go ahead and end with, is this the one? This one right here. Second Amendment right. We really
from nuts with guns.
When bans.
Let's hope
no one wants to touch the legitimate hunter.
But
we've got to protect society from nuts with guns.
When bands of armed people with loaded weapons can move about our streets, intimidating and frightening citizens, then I think we should act, and we intend to act. It's my intention to make it a misdemeanor to have loaded rifles and shotguns and weapons in public places.
The police department had went to a local congressman to get a bill written. So Huey called me up and says, we have to go to Sacramento. It was conceived as a media event that the press is always at the California State Capitol.
No one really wanted Huey himself to go because Huey was kind of a quick-tempered firebrand. Bobby was a little more cautious. And it was like, look, you've been great so far, but, you might blow it up there and, bad things could happen. We caravaned to Sacramento. I think there were about 30 of us all together. And most of us had some weapon.
We was on the state capitol on the lawn, and Ronald Reagan, then the governor of the state of California, was there, about 10 feet away from us, holding a press conference with these young, like parochial school kids. And what happened, as soon as the press seen us, they gravitated from Ronald Reagan over to where the Panthers was.
The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense calls upon the American people in general and the black people in particular to take careful note of the racist California legislature, which is now considering legislation aimed at keeping the black people disarmed and powerless. At the very same time, racist police agencies throughout the country are intensifying the terror, brutality, murder, and repression of black people.
The State Assembly was in the midst of a heated debate when the young Negroes, armed with loaded rifles, shotguns, and pistols, marched into the Capitol.
We read one day, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But if a man doesn't have a job or an income, he has neither life nor liberty and the possibility for the pursuit of happiness. He merely exists. Estimated that we spend $322,000 for each enemy we kill in Vietnam, while we spend in the so-called war on poverty in America only about $53 for each person classified as poor. The promises of the Great Society have been shot down on the battlefield of Vietnam, making the poor, white and Negro, bear the heaviest burdens both at the front and at home. The other thing I want you to understand is this, that it didn't cost the nation one penny to integrate lunch counters. It didn't cost the nation one penny to guarantee the right to vote. But now we are dealing with issues that cannot be solved without the nation spending billions of dollars and undergoing a radical redistribution of economic power. Yeah.